I probably got 100 yards into the woods behind the house, no farther than that probably. But we're going along, dog's out in front of me. I'm just kind of watching the dog, probably 10, 15 feet behind it. All of a sudden, this dog, who was he was such a good hunting dog, people, family, and friends used to come borrow him. So he was used to the woods and wild animals. And anyway, he yelped, turned, and ran by me just as fast as he could. And so I'm watching him, and as he ran by me, I'm looking at him, and he's heading back toward the house as fast as he could go. I'd never seen him act like that. And when I turned and looked back to where he had come from, standing probably 20 to 25 feet in front of me, in a little opening in the trees there, stood, for lack of a better description, a gigantic, hairy humanoid of some kind. As a 7.5-year-old boy, it was a monster to me, is what it was. And I don't know where it came from. I never heard it. But all that I can figure is the dog, when it became aware it was there, the dog hightailed it. And, but when I turned back around and saw it, I was frozen. I could not move. Every instinct in my body, I wanted to scream, holler, and run, but I was frozen with fear. First time I'd ever been that way, but the guy, I'll call it a guy because it was some type of a ancient prehistoric type man, is the only way I can describe it, a caveman, if you will. And I'm looking up at it, because it's huge. I've never stood next to another human being that even comes close to how big this thing was. But I'm kind of frozen on its face, and my top of my head probably come between its knees and its waist, if I was guessing, So I'm locked, looking up, just frozen. It's just looking at me, and I can't move. I can't holler, and it's not moving. It's not making a noise. And if you've ever seen an old dog, when he'll lock in on something he's curious about, he'll tilt his head. This thing did that, looking at me. Tilted its head sideways, as it stood there, just standing there with his arms down the side, and tilted its head and showed me its teeth. And I swear it was, over the last, which is fixing to be 50 years since this happened, I thought about it, and I think it was smiling at me. I really do, It just showed its teeth and tilted its head and stared at me. And I couldn't do anything if I wanted to. I was just frozen. And it looked at me for, it seemed like an eternity when you're that afraid. Time, it seemed like it took forever, but it probably, I thought about a lot, was guessing, maybe 40 to 50 seconds. It stood there in front of me, just looked at me, then just took a step to the right and went in behind this big, what I know now to be a cedar tree, big fluffy green tree. And that's where it had come from. I guess it stepped out from behind that tree. That's why I didn't see it when we come up on it. And the dog didn't either. And, but the dog was out in front when it came around to the side of the tree. I guess the dog seen it or, whatever, knew it was there and took off. But I never did until it stepped out. And then it stepped behind the tree. And when it stepped behind the tree, all of a sudden I could move. And I immediately turned and headed toward the house as fast as I could run. But like I said, after something like that happens, I don't know how to explain it, but my legs didn't seem to want to work. I guess maybe I was in shock. I don't know.